start streaming. And we'll see if it works. Dun, 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 dun. I think we're live. It says we're live.
Cool.
Now, are we streaming to the right YouTube channel?
It's like this goes on like the Teenager podcast.
I know, that's what I was worried about. Ah, yes. There we
We're on
are.
the right one as well.
Oh,
Awesome.
wait. I understand why. It says it's private for some reason. Hold on. Let me make this not private.
Podcast just for us. Just for the two of us.
We're back, baby.
Learning it all over again.
Okay, now we're for real back.
Awesome.
Oh gosh, I hear myself talking. I opened up the stream. All right.
Can you still hear yourself? Or are you good?
No, we're good. I closed out. I opened up the video to make sure that it was working, and it's working.
Nice. Cool. Oh my gosh. It has been 8 months since we've done.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, has it been a year? Like, I'm pretty sure it's almost been a year.
It's almost been a year. We stopped in April, right when my the last mic you gave me crapped out on me, but I loved that mic. I was so sad that it died.
Yeah,
but
that was unfortunate.
I know. But honestly, it's probably better because when we were doing our first 13 episodes, I mean, I was literally doing this podcast from my bed, just like laying like crisscross applesauce, just speaking into a mic. So this is a lot nicer, just having a space to call my own.
Yeah, a little more comfortable, I'd say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So definitely a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, so I guess where have we been the past 8 months? What's been going on?
Yeah, for our 29 or less listeners.
Yeah, I'm gonna start posting the podcast everywhere if you want to kind of just talk a little bit about what's been going down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that can kind of be our question of the day, like what's been going on the last 8 months.
True. That's smart.
People need to know. I'll start on my side. So, for everybody listening, since my mic went out when we did episode 13, we were in the transition of moving houses, me and my wife. And if anyone who listens to us lives in North Carolina, honestly, probably anywhere in the U.S. right now, I would say, the mortgage industry is pretty crazy. It's pretty hard to get houses right now. And so we spent probably, we took a little break for the summer, like in May through June. And then in July, we started looking for houses and quickly found out that it was not going to be very easy to get a house. Normally house hunting is the fun part, and not so right now in this current state that the financial market is in. And so basically my wife and I decided that we would build our own house, and it turned out to be the best option because we didn't have to try and beat other people price wise to buy. And we bought a house in the boonies here in North Carolina, and we're loving it. It's wonderful. It feels like a great home for us. We've been in it now for about 2 weeks. Got all unpacked, got an office space for work, because now I can actually enjoy being 100% remote. I'm no longer working from a sewing machine, literally. And then
not a lie.
Yeah, not a lie. I was literally propping two desktop screens, or two monitors, I should say, and a desktop all on one sewing machine. Now I have my own desk, which is really nice.
Standing desk. It has a motor.
It does have a motor. like literally, like you'll just start to see me like I'm going down. You're gonna like this because it can just move up and down like that. It's really great. And we're back. Okay, cool. but it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it so much, and we've been loving our new house, and hopefully, we can finally just rest a little bit in 2022. We can just get back into the groove with the podcast and just enjoy life, and not have to worry about finding a new place to live because we found it. But that's kind of what's been up with me. What's been going on with you, man, over the last 8 months?
Whew. Okay, I think I got it posted everywhere that I knew
I
of.
saw the
So that's
post.
cool. Um, yeah, so things have been pretty chill. I too moved. So the last time we did the podcast was, you said 8 months ago.
Mhm.
And I can't remember if I was in this space or not. I don't remember. I may have been, or I
Maybe
may have.
yeah, maybe for like the last two episodes or something like that. Maybe episode 12 and 13, maybe.
Yeah, true, true. So yeah, it's been. I have almost been here at this place for a year, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Nice.
And nothing too crazy has been happening. Just been hanging out, chilling, relaxing, and then playing some games here and there. Just doing my thing. And yeah, I wouldn't say anything too new. Oh, well, I did have this like period of quote unquote TikTok fame where I did post a TikTok that absolutely annihilated my phone, and it it was an experience. I'm going to say that much. If you've never had, this is an interesting topic. So if you've
Yeah.
never had something go viral, I guess is like the term nowadays, right? If you've never had something go viral, it is very interesting. There's always like this fun and idea of like what it's like to go viral and all that kind of stuff. It's like the cool, hip, and happening thing. And
Right.
I won't lie, it's a little terrifying because, man,
Yeah.
like when you see all the people that are like interacting with it and stuff, it's kind of nuts. But
Oh yeah.
it was fun. It was definitely enjoyable, and I'm glad I had the experience, and it's made me realize like, oh, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Like, it felt like I was on my phone the whole time, and I was like, oof,
Yeah.
I just like feel like my cell phone usage has just skyrocketed, and I'm not one to enjoy sitting on the device all the time. It's not that entertaining for me. I
Yeah.
enjoy more of a live it in the now space. But it was fun. I think that's probably like the only bigger thing that's like happened to me recently. This summer
Cool,
was
cool.
was intense, I would say. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was a good summer. But
The summer you went viral for 2 weeks.
yeah, for sure. And I still, I also just made us bigger on the podcast. Now we're looking good. Oh yeah.
Nice.
I will say that like I do still enjoy doing TikTok. I'd say that's my newest adventure that I have tackled. And I've been making skits on there where I do like Pokemon skits. And did I send them to you yet?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Anyone listening, you need to check out Tyler's TikTok for Pokemon. It's my favorite is definitely the one with the shinies where like you're like, I'm gonna love you forever. And then the shiny Pokemon shows up and you're like, sorry, bud.
Sorry,
Sorry,
dude. I kind of hate you now.
bud.
Yeah, this all started because of my shiny hunting journey with um Brilliant Diamond, which will more than likely be a topic that we touch on later on in the podcast tonight. So that's my inspiration for the TikToks that I make now. It's just Pokemon shiny hunting and the endeavors that one faces as they go through the challenge of it.
Oh yeah. I think after you sent it to me, actually, it's kind of creepy, but TikTok does this anytime I search for anything in particular. I started getting a lot of those TikToks of people trying to get the shiny starter and just like them like saying like just keep going, you got this, like just keep
Yeah,
trying.
yeah,
It's so funny. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that later. But did you want me to do the well-written introduction we got
yeah,
to I guess
yeah. You
set it up
totally
for the main
can.
topic?
If you're feeling
Yeah,
it,
so
go for it.
I'm ready to get back into it. But all right. What's up, everybody? We are calling all nerds, and you answered the call, the beacon in the sky, if you will. We are your friendly neighborhood hosts that talk about everything within the entertainment zeitgeist, and we are so excited to talk about some amazing stuff tonight. Feels so good to be able to say that again. Just wanted to do a quick overview of everything that Tyler and I are planning to talk about tonight as our, I guess, Christmas special episode. It's kind of funny, Tyler, that we actually ended last year or in April on 13 episodes. It's almost like a season. So it's almost like we could start like season two in January after a Christmas special or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that we wanted to touch on a few items for everybody. One being the Halo Infinite multiplayer and campaign that is releasing next week. Tyler, I believe you were saying that there was something new happening with the Final Fantasy 14 expansion as well.
Yep, that went live this morning.
Nice. And then we wanted to touch on It Takes Two. The game got hit with a trademark, and we'll have some more information there. And then finally, the most exciting piece of news: PlayStation is possibly getting into the Gamepass game. And so I'm really excited to talk on that one, actually. And then finally, if we just have a few quick minutes, I was just going to run through some recommendations I had for the year of top games, movies, shows that I've seen this year before we get into the upcoming games area. But yeah, that's kind of a chill Christmas return episode for us, but I'm really excited to get into it. But Tyler, did you want to start off with Halo Infinite and tell us what you know about that?
Yeah, so since we obviously have not talked about it on here yet, some of you might know that the Halo Infinite multiplayer had a surprise release, and I'm checking the date on it right now. It had a surprise release, came out of nowhere, and it was on the, gosh, is Halo 20 years old or 25 years old? I forgot which one.
It's gotta be 20 years old.
20. So
Yeah,
on the 20th anniversary of Halo, the Xbox had like their own little video thing that was going, like conference thing that was going out, and towards the end of it, or maybe the beginning, I didn't really actually watch it, but they were like, surprise, Halo Infinite multiplayer is live right now. And so everybody was freaking out, going on Steam and playing the multiplayer. And
yeah.
they being 343 and I guess like Xbox Game Studios and stuff were saying that this is technically a beta of the game, of the online play, but it was a very clean beta. I will preface that. It felt amazing, or it feels amazing, very smooth. The combat is like spectacular and everything. But the thing was that it had limited game modes. There was only a couple multiplayer modes that you can play, and you still can only play those limited multiplayer modes. The concept or the theory is that come next week on the 8th, I'm pretty sure it's the 8th, Halo Infinite is going to have a full release, meaning the campaign part of the game will be out. And there's also speculation that technically the beta will be over for the multiplayer, which means things that people enjoy, such as just playing like Slayer or like SWAT, all those other different game modes, more than likely should be released as well next week. So the multiplayer, first time ever, completely free. Not surprised by that, because Halo as a multiplayer has to compete with games like Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, all those shooter multiplayers. They're all free, right? And the thing nowadays with these shooter multiplayer games is you make your money from microtransactions and like game passes, or not game passes, seasons passes. That's how you make your bills now. And so Infinite multiplayer is free, but on the 8th, the campaign will be out, which is exciting because it also will be one of Xbox's day one release for the Game Pass. And if you are a computer user right now, Game Pass, the sale might be over, but it was $1 for 3 months. So pretty great. So if you're interested in Halo, and as a PC user, you can go through almost every Halo game on the Game Pass to get the storyline, except for I think 5, but that you could just like watch a video on YouTube or something and get caught up. It's pretty crazy, but so
Dang,
Halo is finally here.
I need to check on if that deal is still going because I totally will download Halo Infinite on my computer if I can to play it because that's
Yeah.
the only way I can play it. That's amazing. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming, and obviously Halo attempted to release earlier, and then when the masses were reacting to like that, remember that Halo trailer that was brought out, I think like a year ago or so, and
Yes, I
it was
do.
brutal. Everybody was
Yeah,
just like, yeah, so this
people
game
were.
looks like it's crap.
Yeah, people were not kind to it. I remember watching that and just watching a lot of reviews online, and people were just like, "This looks like Halo 1." Like
Yeah.
graphically, or like I was like, not good.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's exciting that
yeah,
it's finally here, and seems like it's
yeah.
been edited right.
I'm very excited to see how it plays or how the campaign is received because just from I don't have an Xbox. I'm not really in that world, so I don't know too much about Halo other than I've played 1, 2, and 3. But um, a lot of people have said like it's more open world than ever before, the
Mm,
campaign, at least from the previews that people have posted.
mm.
Um, and that it seems very like Breath of the Wildy in terms of you can kind of just go anywhere and there's missions to take and side quests and stuff. And I was like, for a game like Halo, that actually sounds really cool.
Oh, it does.
Um, yeah, so I'm really excited to see what grade it gets or like the reviews that come in probably on Monday or Sunday whenever they're allowed to be relieved after the embargo lifts. But I'm hearing some good things so far. But have you gotten to try out the multiplayer at all?
Yeah, so I've played the multiplayer a pretty good bit. And it
Nice.
has, it has its pros and cons. I would say that gameplay wise, as far as anything of just like how the game plays and feels, it's really good. The
Okay.
parts where it lacks that I think they've fixed some of it by now. One big complaint people were having was the progression system on their season's pass. So the only way you get EXP towards your goal, which I think that's like max is like level 100 or maybe level 50. It's like one of the two. And that's, every level you're given some free crap because you paid
Yeah.
$10 or whatever for the next 40 days or something like that, right? And
Okay.
so leveling up was a huge complaint because it was only done through the challenges, which some of them were pretty obscure and was like hella grindy. A lot of people were
Mhm.
complaining where it was like, man, I work a 9 to 5. I don't have time to play like 50 bajillion games to try to get like 200 EXP and, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, and they didn't know if it was just because of how it was in beta, but they you weren't getting really EXP for winning a game or even just playing a game, which your typical way of progression in these like shooter multiplayers are like, yeah, you get maybe for simple sake, let's say like you get 100 EXP for winning a game and maybe like 35 EXP for losing a game. But then there's usually additional things like, oh, you survived for this long in the game and had this much EXP accumulated, so on and so forth.
Uh,
And they
it's
didn't
just
have
really
any of
busy.
that. They made it very grindy, and that was probably the biggest complaint I heard
Yeah.
about it. But they did release a ranking system right away, which seemed like people really liked. A lot of multiplayer people are into doing ranked modes to see
Yeah.
where they fit and everything. Seems like that had a pretty well perceived and everything, but lack of just maps and stuff was probably another complaint I would say. Kind of just got boring playing like the same 2 to 3 depending on what you were doing. But it'll be nice to see actually what will be the real game modes come next Wednesday. Like, I
Yeah.
hope they bring in SWAT and like just play Slayer. Excuse me, and just like have Slayer and all that kind of stuff because those are the modes that I like. And I was like, darn, I can only play either like group, 5-man group or like big team group. And it's just like that was it. And so, it was good though. It plays well.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. To your point, I'd be shocked if like the campaign comes out on the 8th and they don't add all of the maps for the different levels in the game or the different areas of the game. Like for the multiplayer, I would be shocked if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just uploading it like empty, except for like the players, of course, as they come in. It's so funny how you mention how grindy it is now. Like I don't know if it's just the old fart in me, 30 something, 30-year-old person now, but I kind of just miss those days when multiplayer was literally just like you and just random people online, and there wasn't like any like experience boosts or like
Yeah.
cosmetics. Like you literally just played a game together and then like it ended and you played it again, and like you didn't really have to like get anything other than just like the title of like, oh, I beat him, like I beat this round. It is very much, I feel like the multiplayer world is very different nowadays, and it's interesting. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I know, like for me, I just miss the simplicity
Yeah.
uh of those old days, like of playing Halo 2 and just, oh my gosh, I would still play Halo 2 multiplayer all the time. It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
I think that's where I see a split is, battle royale is hype right now,
Mhm.
right? Being the last man or last team standing, or last person standing, I should say, last person or last team standing is very, very hyped right now. And so
Yeah.
I call it the classic style, like playing just team deathmatch. It's like boring to people nowadays.
Mm.
Like I see the new Call of Duty that came out, and it's all right. People think it's all right, but some people are playing it only because the same guns in the multiplayer exist in Warzone, and the only way to level them up efficiently is by playing the multiplayer and then using those
Huh.
leveled up guns in Warzone, which is the free game. And so,
Interesting. Okay.
but I feel like if any game could make that traditional playstyle happen and work, is Halo. Like you
Yeah.
said, just getting up with your friends and queuing up for Slayer, which is just, team deathmatch, first to 75 kills or whatever. Just
So
doing
good.
that for, an hour or something and being like, all right, see you later, and being satisfied.
Yeah.
Out of most of the games, I could see Halo doing it because what I notice nowadays, like in Call of Duty, I was watching some streamers play Call of Duty and some other people just play it. And it's so like your time to kill is so fast. I mean, you spawn and I feel like you die in like 0.2 seconds. And the
Yeah.
second
There's,
you meet
yeah,
your
there's
gaze with
so
someone
many
else,
trolls. Yeah,
oh
there's so many
yeah.
trolls on there now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
I mean, you meet
right
the
there to
gaze of
farm.
another player and you're dead. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I've been alive probably maybe like 110 times in just this one match because I'm just constantly, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And your
Yeah.
characters are super fast, they're sliding, all that. But then in like Halo, you have your shield and like you attack someone and their shield goes away, but then they could hide and regain their shield and their health regains back and stuff. And it's like
Yep.
that time to kill's a little slower. So you kind of feel that, I don't know. It's like feels like you feel like how you used to, quote unquote, back in the day, right? It's like,
Yeah. That's all I could ask for, honestly, is like if they can recapture that feeling, and I know it's not for everybody. There's a whole new generation of players out there that have never played Halo, that have never like played the original games, which is
yeah,
crazy to think about. But um, I think there's enough modes that they've come up with now that can appeal to both generations, like that. So I think I think
yeah,
it'll be good.
yeah. That's
We'll
where
see.
some people were like, "Man, I wonder if Halo would make a battle royale." And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if a Halo battle royale would be that good, but
Yeah.
if they did it, like it appeals to people. That's where I start feeling like you're splitting your audience a little bit too much. And then it's
Yeah.
like, well, if you make a battle royale, how many people are playing Halo that wished there was a battle royale, but are still just playing Halo because it's Halo? It's like, then next thing you know, what if, like, let's say half your audience on the multiplayer just went to the battle royale? Then it's like, ah, crap, we just lost like half our audience in the multiplayer section. Now half of them are gone. So I don't know. I hope they just kind of stick to what they've done in the past because we haven't had a Halo game in a while, so it's kind of nice.
No, that's true. Well, fingers crossed, man. I'm hoping that, it'll just get like tens across the board. I really want this game to be amazing.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it. They deserve to have a great first party Halo game. It's been too long.
Gosh, it's been
It's
too
been way too
long
long.
for like a good first party Xbox game, so
I know. I want
they
it.
need
I
it.
want them to have it so bad. And if anything should be able to do it, it's Halo.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get it there.
Yeah, no,
But,
definitely.
what was the other news you were gonna say that was released on in regards to Final Fantasy 14? You said there. I
Yeah.
thought was it Edgewalker or
No, Endwalker. You were pretty close though.
Endwalker?
Pretty
I
close.
don't know. I don't know
So
anything about.
yeah, so today at 4 a.m. Eastern time, I'm pretty sure, the
Okay.
Endwalker expansion released, which it was supposed to release, I think, Thanksgiving week or
Oh,
maybe
okay.
the week before. So it's either a week or 2 weeks pushed out.
Right.
Um, but it's now out. And it is out for those who pre-ordered Endwalker. The official, let me see, I'll look it up. The official date is actually, yeah, December 7th, which is what, Tuesday? So December
Yep.
7th is the physical actual release. And then today, if you pre ordered the expansion, you have access to it. So the new expansion, what does that mean? Well, like most MMOs, new expansions mean, new zones, new level caps, new items, new storyline, new classes, new
Another 40,
quests,
another 40 hours of gameplay. Like
probably
something.
100 hours of gameplay knowing Final Fantasy. If it's a Final Fantasy thing, it's at least 500 hours, right? So
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
so they brought in two new classes, the Sage class and the Reaper class. Reaper class, you could probably understand what it is just by the sound of it. You are a Reaper with a scythe. It is a physical melee DPS class, and has that Final Fantasy
Whoa,
S look to it. And you have a big scythe, which scythes are one of my favorite weapons of all time in any video game.
so
So you have that
awesome.
class, and you have the Sage class. So the Sage class is a healing class, and I
Oh,
I think it does healing, and it also does some DPS too. But some people say that the Sage kind of has this like Gundam esque vibe to it because they have these floaty things that are around them that I think do some of the healing and stuff.
what?
I haven't looked into it all that much. If I'm being honest. I'm not a big healer kind of guy, but it does look pretty cool. So you have like, have you seen Wing Gundam before? Gundam Wing.
No, since you got me into Gundam, I've only seen through most of the Universal or I don't even know, Universal Century or whatever.
Gotcha.
The main story. I'm about to get into Gundam Zeta, but I haven't
Okay.
seen Gundam. I haven't seen Gundam Wing yet.
Okay. He does like an attack that reminds me of somewhat how the Sage look is. It is pretty cool. You get these little floaty, like small spears, and like lights shine around you, and you're casting beams and all that kind of stuff. So those are the
That
two
sounds
new,
awesome.
yeah, those are the two new classes that were released. So Sage and Reaper, and then obviously the Endwalker expansion in itself has its own breadth of storyline, and it has its own side missions, and now there's new weapons, and with expansions there's also patches. So I think one big thing with Final Fantasy right now is that they kind of had a whole rework done on the stats of the players. So across the board, stats were kind of nerfed for people. It's not like you're weaker per se, but it's like they were actually running out of integer numbers because of how high things were getting. So they had to dumb it back down a little bit because they literally were having things that was just doing so much damage that they were going to overflow.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
yeah, like they were going to overflow what was allotted into like integers and stuff in their code. So there was a big. I'm not gonna call it a nerf per se, but they just reworked a lot of it. I think they got rid of some armor pieces, and it's things like, let's say you had 40,000 health, you might now have like 4,000 or 400, whatever it is, and things have now just like scaled back so that they can add more stuff in the future to like work on, and
Work your
progress.
way back up, kind of thing. That makes sense.
Exactly. So that was another, I would say, probably big thing with the expansion. But then obviously, I mean, an expansion in any Final Fantasy games are usually pretty big, especially with an MMO. There's mounts to start collecting, new zones, new raids, dungeons, fates. It's like the list just goes on and on with all the new stuff that was brought in. So that's huge. That is a really big release, I would say, for the not just the MMO community, but like the Final Fantasy community in general. It's just big. So that is out today for pre-orders.
Now, since like you said, this is the next big expansion. Are like the servers already crashing? Like, are people like trying to get in to play the game and like they can't
I would
even?
assume. Final Fantasy doesn't have bad crashing, which is nice.
Oh,
So
that's good.
I
Okay.
I woke up before 8 o'clock this morning and I just downloaded the game, and I think it downloaded and then like randomly around like 9:40 or so this morning. I was like, let me just log on, get my Reaper class. My queue was like 43 or something. It wasn't too bad. And
Oh,
then when I got on Discord, I noticed some of my friends, like my friend Grant, he was like, my queue was like 2,500 or whatever he said. And so that after work gang definitely kicked in. So queue times are pretty high.
yeah.
Um, I would say that like Final Fantasy has been through this server ringer before. Like
Yeah.
I
They know
think
the
they have,
game.
yeah, they kind of have some of that stuff down pat, and now it's just like waiting in queue systems and stuff. Queues aren't too bad typically with Final Fantasy. Like my 43 queue, it went super fast, but I don't know what that would say with somebody who's in a queue of 2,000. I
Right.
would say the biggest downfall would be if you are on a server that is the same as like a popular Twitch streamer or maybe like popular YouTuber. If you are part of one of their servers, I'm just going to go ahead and say RIP and like good luck to you, cuz I assume that's probably like super hard to get into any server that's like that cuz you know
Yeah.
people like to go see their fans, or they want to go see their favorite people and play with them, so hopefully it's not too bad. I'll probably check it out a little bit after the podcast, and I'll try to see what the queue's like. I'm in a weird stage right now where I am doing PvE content in RuneScape, and so this desire to play Final Fantasy like right now, it's not it's not like hardcore there for me to where I'm just like I gotta play, because
Right.
I feel like I'm being satisfied right now with like an MMO with RuneScape, and I'm actually more like gnawing at wanting to do PvP content. So I've been playing things like League and like Halo Infinite and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still gonna give it a
Nice.
try. Still want to see what it's all about. I am personally though not at the Endwalker content yet. I did get to level 70, which is the requirement to get the new classes, but I have not done Shadowbringers, which is the expansion before Endwalker.
Did you
So
do, but have you done all of them up to that point, like Heaven's Word and all that?
yeah. So those are complete. My idea was I was told that you just needed to be 70 to get the new classes, which was correct. So I hit level 70, and then I was like, well, if I have to do Shadowbringers anyways, I'll just do Shadowbringers with the new class to like one be a little bit exposed to how the class does like combat wise without jumping into like dungeons or something that like are a little bit more multiplayer heavy. Like I can just kind of like roam around the zones myself, fighting monsters,
Yeah.
trying to get an idea of like how to do the combat and stuff. So that's
Right.
my goal. I'll probably go through Shadowbringers as the Reaper, see how it plays out. Hopefully, I like it, and then I will do Endwalker with the Reaper, or maybe I'll go back to my main, which is like a samurai. So we'll see. I'm just kind of taking it slow, though. You know.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. I mean, it's going to be around forever at this point. Well, I shouldn't say that. But like it'll be
Never
around for
know.
quite, yeah, it'll be around for quite a while. I don't want to stay on it too much longer, but do you happen to know, is this going to be the final expansion of Final Fantasy 14, or are they
Yeah,
just going to
probably
keep?
not.
Yeah, I was going to say with how popular it is, I feel like they will just keep bringing on new story content onto it as long as
Yeah,
there are the players to play it, kind of
yeah,
thing.
they more than likely will. I can't see them dying down. I mean, if
Yeah.
World of Warcraft can keep making expansions for as long as they have, you know, and like other
Right.
MMOs, there's no stopping. Final Fantasy 14 is kind of just here to stay.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
blame
for
that.
sure.
It's funny because it makes me wonder, because now we're waiting for Final Fantasy 16, if they would even do another Final Fantasy MMO at like a numbered title.
Mm.
Um, like at this point, at least until like maybe 14 dies down a little bit more, because 14 is definitely thriving much longer than their past online game, which was Final Fantasy 12. Granted, the online world is a lot more um, equipped for it than back in the day when they released 12 online. But
Yeah, and some
I don't
people
know.
were like still playing that one too.
Yeah, now that I say that, that sounds like a really dumb thing to say because RuneScape was out way before Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, I think like the original RuneScape was either early 2000s or like the 90s. Because I think the
Oh
RuneScape I
my God.
played in 2005 technically wasn't even like the first edition of it.
It is crazy because I remember, I mean, you know me, I'm not much of an MMO player, but like I remember playing RuneScape in school, like,
Yeah,
when you were in class on your computers
yeah.
during
When it was
computer
web
time.
based.
Yeah, when you're supposed to be doing homework, but really everyone is on those like gaming sites where you
Yep.
like play as like a cannon shooting like a stick figure man across the field or something like that. Like
Or like the
everyone was
cat
playing.
one.
Yeah, like you know what I'm talking about. Like
Oh
everybody was
yeah.
playing those games the whole class. Like and the teacher knew it too. He just didn't care. Uh,
No, they
I
did
miss
not.
that. Oh my gosh. Well, if you're all right with it, Tyler, I'll jump us into the next one.
Yeah.
This is you shared this article with me, which is very interesting. I actually haven't played this game yet. This is on my backlog to play because it really looks great. I feel like this would be a fun one to play with Ruthie. But this is from an article we found from George Yang. It says Yosef Fares Game It Takes Two is hit with claim from Take Two Interactive. And so basically, what's happening here, I'm just going to streamline most of this article, but what's going on is that Grand Theft Auto parent company Take Two Interactive has hit Hazelight Studios' game It Takes Two with a trademark claim. Records indicate that Hazelight has seemingly been forced to abandon ownership of the game's name. In a statement to Eurogamer, a Hazelight spokesperson told the outlet that the studio cannot comment on ongoing disputes, but hopes that the situation will be resolved. Take Two has also been filing trademark claims for names that include words like Rockstar, Social Club, Mafia, and Civilization. You know, the most common words ever. These words are all connections to products or services that Take Two owns, such as Rockstar Games, Rockstar Social Club, and the Mafia franchise. So, not only is Hazelight affected by this, but other businesses unrelated to the games industry are as well. So, there's a Max Fane clothing brand included in the trademark claims, presumably due to its closeness to the studio Max Payne, which is a great series. An axe throwing company in Florida called Rockstar Axe Throwing is part of the trademark claim. So Take Two is just coming for everyone, just trying to just keep their name on these things away from any other company out there, which is,
How
you
can
know,
you trademark Mafia?
I don't. How can you trademark civilization? Like that's literally
Yeah.
and like a rock star. Like it's
Isn't
just
that
it's
an
kind of
energy drink too? I thought Rockstar Energies was like a thing. What about
it
that
might be.
company?
It might be. I just don't know if this is Take-Two Interactive's. We're so big now because of all the money we've made off GTA 5 that like we're
Yeah.
just gonna like keep trying to like take all these things. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Um,
Rockstar Inc. is also the energy drink company. And like I
yeah,
wonder if that means they're gonna start like going after them too. They're really
yeah,
big on the gaming industry, I'll tell you that much. Rockstar's pretty big in there. Because
yeah.
but they're owned by Pepsi. I gotta assume that Pepsi's got some deeper pockets than Take Two.
Then Take-Two. Yeah, I would assume so as well. I have no idea. This whole thing is just so bizarre to me. I remember when you sent this to me this morning and I was kind of shocked. I just feel bad for Hazelight because I mean this is a
Mm.
wonderful game that they've made. You know, it's gotten rave reviews since it was released. I really want to try it out. But it just kind of sucks because like if they have to abandon the name, honestly, I don't know what that really means. I don't know if that means that they have to at some point rename the game something else if they ever want to republish it or re-release it on different platforms, maybe, you know? I have no idea. Or if they have to take it down from the store and rename it now and put it back up. Like
Yeah.
no idea. I honestly I feel like stuff like this has happened before in the gaming industry, but not as common that I can think of anything in the past few years of something like this happening.
Yeah,
But
I wonder what they would do with it if they would go through the process of renaming cuz I don't know. I can't imagine
oh
they'd be able to win a fight just because of how massive Take Two is. But I
yeah,
would hope that like the person maybe in charge of the decision would be able to see what Take Two Interactive is doing and like it just seems kind of scammy to me where they're just like taking generic words and just
yeah,
being like, "Oh, that's
oh,
ours." I mean, like
right.
you
This
said, like
would belong to us.
civilization. I mean, that's a word in textbooks. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like people historians use words like civilization all the time. And
yeah,
mafia movies have been around, you know, since our parents were kids. And it's
right.
just like
Well before Take-Two Interactive, yeah.
yeah, it's like how that's like being like, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna put money on air. That's my
Uh,
thing now, and it's like I don't know. I
right.
just don't understand. Or like social club. Like how many bars I feel like have the word social club part
Too
of them
many.
around not even just the U.S. Probably like everywhere. The word social club's got to be just stamped anywhere.
Yeah, it's very bizarre to me. I'm sure there's a lot to this that we don't understand in terms of how that works. I feel like
Yeah,
they're not gonna. I would be shocked if they have to take their game off and rework it because not only would they have to rename it, they would have to literally go back into the code of the game and restructure it, like change the title card, like you know, like it would just be a nightmare. It's just such a weird thing to do, not only to, but also, like you said, it seems kind of crummy because, like, it's
yeah,
basically the big fish coming for the small fish that's not even trying to hurt it. You know, like they're
yeah,
both gaming studios just wanting to make games.
yeah.
And so it's like, why are you doing this to Hazelight, which is a much smaller company than Rockstar or than Take-Two Interactive? And just like for no reason. It's like it's just it seems very bizarre to me.
Well, like reading this
I,
article, the music book brand called Think Like a Rock Star has abandoned its trademark, fine, like following the claim. A music book brand. Like, why does that in any way make competition to Take Two Interact? It doesn't.
it
There's
doesn't.
no competition of a music book brand and like the GTA people. And I can't
Yeah.
imagine it's a money thing. I mean, you know how many microtransactions people pump into just like Grand Theft Auto alone?
Oh yeah. I
There's
mean, it's the best
no
selling game of all time. They've made so much money on that game that they probably never have to worry about money ever again.
Yeah, I
And
feel like they're trying to make it come across that when people see those words, they think of like their studio in a way, and it's like no one
yeah,
thinks that. I see the word Rockstar Energy, and I think the energy drink. I see the word
yeah,
mafia, and I just think about old movies. Like I don't know. Like I'm not. It's not taking away from them. The only time I ever think of Take Two Interactive, honestly, barely. I mean, I think about Grand Theft Auto. I think, oh yeah, that's Rockstar.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
like,
You think
oh, the Mafia games,
Grand
that's
Theft
Rockstar.
Auto, yeah, GTA is the name.
Yeah,
Like if you think Grand Theft Auto, you think Rockstar. You're like, oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, okay, this is Rockstar Games. It's like that's how I feel about Red Dead. Like
yep,
The Red Dead series is probably like in my top five gaming like series of all time. And it's
yeah,
like when I think Red Dead, I'm like Rockstar. I think quality. I think this is top tier open world third person adventure game. Like this is what I want.
yeah.
It sucks that the parent, and I know it's not Rockstar. I know it's the parent company of Take-Two Interactive. It just seems like
Hmm.
it just seems like such a low blow thing to do for no reason. And yeah, that was a very sad one to see today for sure. But I do have some exciting news that I found out because I was honestly, I remember we were talking this morning, Tyler, and I was like, it doesn't seem like there's much news happening this week, honestly,
Yeah,
because which makes sense. We're getting to the end of the year. A lot of the games this year have already come out, um, so it's a lot slower. But then Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, which I follow all the time, released an article right around like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock this afternoon that really got me more excited than anything else I'd read in a really long time. And it is in regards to PlayStation Plan's new service to take on Xbox Game Pass. And so this is super, super exciting for me.
and it has the best code name.
Spartacus, yeah, I know that's probably not going to be the actual name of it,
No,
but
100%.
the fact that that is the code name is absolutely hilarious. It's kind of like when PlayStation 5's. I think they always go with Greek names, funny enough,
I think
because like I
so.
remember the code name of PS5 was Morpheus, I think it was, or Orpheus,
Something like, yeah, yeah.
something like that. And so, but anyway, I'll just read a little bit from this article from Jason Schreier today. It was right at noon. Um, so Sony Group Core's PlayStation division is planning a new subscription service to compete with rival Microsoft Core's popular Xbox Game Pass, according to people familiar with Sony plans and documents reviewed by Bloomberg. The service, codenamed Spartacus, will allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee for access to a catalog of modern and classic games, said the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to speak to the press about the plans, of course. Um, so what happens, I'm going to skim through this a little bit, is that when it launches, expected in the spring, probably around like March, April, which makes sense. It's right around the summer. Kids are getting out of school. They want them playing. The service is going to merge Sony's two existing subscription plans, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. Thank God. Currently, PlayStation Plus is required for most online multiplayer games, offers free monthly titles, while PlayStation Now offers users to stream or download older games. And so they're planning to retain the PlayStation Plus branding, but phase out PlayStation Now as a name and just kind of grow it more into this library of games that you can just go across. Now, the part of this that is a little like very much like PlayStation taking a step forward to compete, but not being as friendly as Game Pass, is that while details on Spartacus may not have been finalized, the documentation reviewed by Bloomberg outlines a service with three tiers.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Yeah. The first would include existing PlayStation Plus benefits, which I assume is going to be the same price at $49.99 a year, which is what I pay. The second would offer a large catalog of PlayStation 4 and eventually PlayStation 5 games. The third tier would also add extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. We literally could be playing Crisis Core on our PS5s next year, which,
Mm.
Peter, if you're listening, man, That makes me just so excited. I can't tell you how excited that makes me. Anyway, although the PlayStation has outsold the Xbox in recent years, Sony has lagged behind Microsoft on the subscription front. With this new structure, Sony would look to compete with an Xbox feature that has been very popular and lucrative. Um, so that's all I'm going to read on the article. But I brought that up because one, I am very excited. I'm just very excited in general. I don't care if this thing is going to be $99.99 a year. I'm going to pay it because you know me, I'm a huge PlayStation fanboy. That's been my console, my go-to console for pretty much my teen years and beyond. And the fact that I can finally be able to boot up my PS5 and potentially have the ability to download or stream not any game, but like a vast library of games from the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 and PSP era is super exciting. That I just will have it all in one place because Sony has not made that easy.
No, no.
And the fact that they're going to do that is very exciting. The part I'm not excited about is the tiers, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But
I
everybody
get it.
does it. You gotta.
Yeah, everybody does it. I get it. And it that's probably them saying like, okay, like we're gonna give in and like give the people what they want a little bit, but you're gonna pay us more money than what you would pay for Game Pass because we're PlayStation. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like I get it.
Yeah,
Like, and
Xbox does it. You know, Xbox has their
yeah.
different tiers. Their ultimate, their PC only, their console only, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's very true.
It makes
Yeah, I didn't
sense.
even think about that.
I hope
But
the
it's just
streaming is good though. Like for the classic games.
yeah,
The interesting part of this is I'm actually more interested in that PS1 to PSP realm.
hmm
And the only thing that like makes me nervous is like sure they could up the way that their servers play those games now because you know that PlayStation Now thing is like laggy as heck and it's just aggravating to play it. And they
yeah, it can be. It has improved a lot over the years, I will say,
yeah.
than how it was when I first tried it years and years ago. Now I literally just I recently, I would say within the last year, tried to stream Red Dead Redemption, the first
Mm,
one,
mm.
on it, and I didn't have any lag. It was actually very smooth.
Oh, that's good.
Um, with like a wireless connection to my PlayStation. So I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice surprise. Because yeah,
Yeah.
I'm of the same mind. I would rather download a game
Yeah.
than stream it. But I know
Or
that that's not
like
going to be possible for PSP or like PS3 even because of the
yeah.
different hardware they used. But yeah,
Yeah, because
sorry,
that's where
I
Game Pass
interrupted.
is. It's all download.
Yeah,
If you're playing on the Game Pass, unless you're doing that whole like on your mobile device and stuff, but if you're on like your
yeah.
Xbox, you know, you're typically playing it downloaded. See, they did the reverse. They did download first and now they're working on the being able to stream your games on Xbox. Whereas I feel like Sony with the opposite, they're like, let's stream first, and maybe they'll get into some of the downloading. I'm not too sure, but
Maybe we'll do it.
yeah, I'll take a download any day. But it will be kind of cool to see what that classic library consists of for like
Oh yeah, for
PS1,
sure.
PS2, PS3 games. PS3 era was all right for me. I would say the PS1 and PS2 were the biggest, and then PSP, I only had like a couple games, but it would be kind of cool to see what's on there that I missed potentially. But I feel like with the PS5 games, if I'm already a fan, I've probably already bought it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing and like you were saying, this is all spec. This is all still up in the air because this isn't an official um, release or like an
Yeah,
official like news from
yeah,
Sony itself. So it'll be interesting to see when they potentially do finally release news on this. I would imagine probably during a state of play at some point in the future. Are they going to discuss, like will first party games release day and day on PlayStation Plus X, whatever they call it, and like and you can just play it for free if you have this service. I highly doubt it. I don't think they would go that far as what Xbox does. I don't think they would do that, not yet anyway.
yeah,
Um, but I'm very interested to see the tiers. I could very much see tier one just the current service like just being the same like $59.99 a year. I would very much assume that if you want the highest tier, you're going to pay like $100 a year, which still, I mean, for the amount of stuff you get is a great deal in
See,
my
I could see
opinion.
them doing that, giving you day one. Because the thing that's annoying is,
Mm.
because with them, they're like, now their first party games are $70, which I still
Yeah.
think is just crazy to me. So it's like, I could see them saying, so you want those day one releases, then pay us like 100. Honestly, like Sony's pretty bougie. I'd even see like 120, right? And it's like, pay us that much a year and you
What's
get,
crazy is I'd pay it.
yeah, and then it's like you get the first party
Horizon Zero
like
Dawn.
day ones. And
Yeah.
honestly, it's like, well, if you only play those titles, you probably get your money back because they more than likely will release maybe two a year anyways. You're already gonna dish out like 140 just for the two games, so it probably is cheaper to pay like 100 or like 120 just to, even if that's all you play. So I could
Yeah.
see higher tiers being that, but I don't know. I could also see being surprised and being like, "Oh damn!" Like Sony's trying to step it up because they know their competition is Xbox, and
Yeah.
Xbox has been the champions of
The
just
players.
giving anyone games. It's like constantly running their sales just to be like, "Bro, we don't care if you're on an Xbox or a PC or on your Android device or on an iPad. Just freaking play our games for cheap. Have at it. Have
Yeah.
fun." So
I know. I can't tell you how many times I've been tempted to just get like an Xbox One, not even an Xbox One X, just an Xbox One
mm,
to like just get Game Pass so that I can play these certain games that I just can't
yeah.
play. Like even on PC, like because I do have Game Pass on PC, but I can't play certain games.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know. It's just very exciting. This is very surface level news. We don't know much detail, but I'm sure that in the next few months we'll be talking more about this very much. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's
um,
something that you and I have talked about for a long time and we
oh
knew it was
yeah,
going to come eventually. We're like, yeah, they have to because one, it helps both parties. There's been no
yep,
competition for Xbox, so having competition is going to be good for them. Forces them to continue to have their service grow. And then obviously for Sony fans, I mean, it's good to have that. I mean, their PlayStation Plus games are hit or miss most of the time. I feel like that's the most free stuff we get out of Sony is their PlayStation Plus, and it's like half the time I
yeah,
just log in once a month just to claim them, then I never play them. So
yeah. Well, there's a part of me that hopes that doesn't go away. That free game of the
I
month.
hope not.
I mean, it's weird though, because like if they do this Game Pass style thing now, they may as well just like add it to the library. You know what I mean? And just be like, all right, we've added this game to the library, go play it. Like
Yeah,
in all the other 300 games that we have on here, whatever they are.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know. Yeah, I saw yeah, PlayStation Plus is always hit or miss. I think really only 4 months out of this year were games that I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play this right now. Like this
yeah,
month, I think was like Godfall and
yeah.
uh some other game I haven't even heard of, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Yeah, the
nothing
Godfall.
here.
It's like a special edition too. Yeah,
Yeah,
Godfall Challenger Edition, which I assume is like some special edition, and then it has Mortal Shell for the PS4, and then
yeah,
Lego DC Supervillains, which I'm actually excited about. The Lego games are really fun.
they are fun. They know their audience, they know what people want, and they just keep making it. And
Yeah, it's
I
goofy.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's like good pizza. You know what you want.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like last month. I actually liked the game they gave a. I don't know if you ever played this game, but Kingdoms of Amalur.
Mm-mm.
Amalur.
I claimed
Um,
it, but I've never played it.
oh, Tyler, you would probably love this game. If you ever played like Fable
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, it's kind of like that, but like bigger.
Bro,
Um,
I'm waiting on a new Fable like I'm waiting on a new Sly Cooper.
dude, if you love Fable, you have got to try Kingdoms of Amalur. I'm not even joking. You will
Yeah.
love this game, dude.
Yeah,
You
I'll give
will
it a
love
shot
it.
for sure.
Yeah, it's so good. It's such a great game.
Is that
Well
the Kingdoms
then,
of Almamar re-reckoning?
yep. It's like it includes all the DLC, all the like basically everything that has ever been released for that game. The graphics aren't anything to write home about, but it's a very like just true blue fantasy RPG.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
looks
like
good. It does look
dude,
like
yeah.
Fable.
Yeah, like it's the same type of humor, cartoony character looks. Like
Uh,
it's really good, man. Like I love that game. I haven't had a chance to get into it because I keep saying I'm trying to get through my backlog of games, but
yeah.
it's getting hard to play games when you got a toddler running around the house. It's kind of takes away from the game time, which is fine,
Yeah.
but it's like
Yeah.
I have to
Oh, it's
prioritize.
THQ Nordic. A good company.
Mhm. Yeah, I really like their Darksider games too.
Yeah, those are good. Talk about a
So
really good game with a Reaper.
right, literally play as death.
Yeah, which
Um,
unfortunately the newest one wasn't that big of a hit, right? The newest Darksiders, like 3 or something. And
yeah, I played it. It was good. Like I
uh
enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I don't think it was as funny or as good
mm,
as Darksiders 2. Darksiders 2 was amazing.
a
Like it,
knock out of the park. Holy cow.
dude, that game was incredible. And yeah, it just felt a little half-baked in my
Mm,
opinion. I liked the characters. Like the problem with those games is never the story. It's never the
mm.
characters. Like, they're always pretty fun. I like Strife, or whatever her name is in the game. One of the four horsemen. But it the gameplay itself wasn't as great as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But before we jump into upcoming games anticipated for the rest of this month, I kind of wanted, if you're okay with it, Tyler, I wanted to give a brief, just quick run through of all of the recommendations of things I've played and seen over the last 8 months. That
Yeah.
I just want to shoot out names quick and fast. I'm not going
No,
to take
yeah,
up
go
time
for it, dude. Go
because
for it.
I know I can take forever on stuff like this. Um, but for all you listeners out there, I really want to make some of these recommendations. I know we're at the end of the year. If you're in the Christmas season, you have some time off from work, if you're able to play some games, watch some movies, TV shows, I have a few recommendations for you all. And I'm just going to run through them really quick, like I said. For video games, Kena, Bridge of Spirits. Imagine a PS2 game that looks amazing and runs on the PS5. That's Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's very simplistic, very fun. Highly recommend it. Really moving game. This is technically from last year, but I played it this year. Yakuza Like a Dragon. I absolutely freaking love this game. It's probably one of my favorite JRPGs in a very long time. I 100%ed this game. Literally, like, got all the achievements on Steam. It took me like 120 hours. I didn't even care. I enjoyed every second of it. It was so good. And I can't wait. It's getting a sequel in the same kind of style. Uh, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's Ratchet and Clank. If you know what that is, you already know what you're getting into. Looks like a Pixar movie. It's incredible. This is probably the best Ratchet and Clank I've played in a really long time. It was
Oh yeah.
phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Um, a lot of platformers this year that I was a really big fan of. Honestly, not that many JRPGs. I'm usually all about the JRPGs, and there weren't that many this year. Psychonauts 2.
I'm so
Uh,
glad that's on your list. I saw this. I got so excited.
this game blew me away. I've actually never played the original Psychonauts. Um, and here I am just getting into it. Like but they do a really great job of like giving you the context you need to understand what's going on. But I've never played a game like this that so bravely tackled mental health issues.
Mm,
Um, and in a very respectful way, a very kind way, and also a very just imaginative. This is one of the most imaginative games I've ever played. It sucks because these games never make any money. This game literally had to be fan funded. It took forever to get it, and they just this is such a dream. You can tell they just put all their love and care into it, and it's hilarious. It's so funny. I please, like, if you have any love for platformers, for quirky games, if you like Tim Burton, play Psychonauts 2. This game is wacky as heck
mm.
and tackles depression, anxiety, bipolar, uh, uh, alcoholism. It tackles everything and how to face your fears, face your vices, and overcome them. It's beautiful. Um, and then finally, for any visual novel lovers out there, the great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Huge nerd here. These games take forever to play, and it's all text. I know. I love the Ace Attorney games, and this one is also great. You should check it out. Moving into movies, a lot of great movies this year that people should check out. Most recently, Tick Tick Boom on Netflix is the biopic and musical of Jonathan Larson, who wrote and composed Rent. And this is kind of like his life and how he got there. I can't recommend it enough. Andrew Garfield stars in the movie, and he's one of my favorite actors now, probably of all time. He's absolutely incredible. We got In the Heights, which is another musical that's very great. Got Shang-Chi, Green Knight, The Green Knight, which is probably one of the most visually appealing movies I've seen all year. It's crazy good. The Harder They Fall is a great Western on Netflix. That was really good. I saw Dune.
Oh,
I don't even know what else to say. Like, you just need to see
even
this
though your
movie.
dad told me the ending was great.
I was so mad when he did that. I was like, oh, gosh. Anyway, it's still great. CODA, which is a great movie for the deaf community. It's a beautiful take on just this girl who has deaf parents, but she is into singing and music, and they can't really understand that because they don't hear music. They don't, and so they're just trying to like help her follow her dreams even when they can't understand it. It's a beautiful family movie. The Suicide Squad, Luca, and Cruella, I would say, are like my top movies this year. All of those.
That's a great
and then finally, TV shows. Most of these you can get either on Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Disney Plus. Ted Lasso on Apple is such a great show. I know probably everyone in the world has probably seen that at this point. It's just this is one of those shows that only comes around every decade. And it just hits the right notes that really resonate with everyone. And it's just a beautiful show. Any Marvel show like WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, maybe, I don't know. But like these shows have been so good, and just prepping for the next phase of the MCU. Shadow and Bone, Cobra Kai, and What We Do in the Shadows. If you have not seen any of these shows, you need to check them out. They have been absolutely amazing this year. And that was just my quick rundown of everything.
Yeah, very nice.
I held back a lot, but I want to keep it short.
No, you did good. Yeah, no, and I have the list, which will be posted inside of the description down below in the YouTube video, as well as in the podcast notes on either Spotify or Apple Podcast or Simplecast. So if you are curious, wanting to go back through what Max's movies, games and shows of the years were, you can see them there. I will post mine as well. I haven't worked on it. I was at the gym, and then I came, and then it was 7:30, and I was like, oh, we got to start going. So I will post mine whenever I get this podcast loaded. So if you're curious on what my list is, make sure to check it out later. But as always, one thing that we enjoy to do is talk about the upcoming games. We have been using the Wikipedia article for pretty much all of our upcoming games because unlike what most people tell you in grad school, Wikipedia is great for information unless it's political. Because all I'm saying is that if people really care about a topic, they make sure it's legit on Wikipedia. If it's political, don't believe anything you say. But when it comes to a lot of other things, I trust Wikipedia. Just say it. So some upcoming games that we have, we've touched on. Final Fantasy Endwalker comes out on the 7th, as well as Spellforce 3 Reforced, which is a Windows game, real-time strategy. No idea what that is, but it's THQ Nordic. Halo Infinite on the 8th, Loop Hero for the Nintendo Switch on the 9th, Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX for Windows, Nintendo Switch, and the iOS on the 9th as well.
Monster Rancher?
Never heard of this one.
That's a name I never thought I'd ever hear again. Did you ever watch Monster Rancher growing up?
No.
On like Fox Kids?
No, I never did.
Gosh. This show was awesome, man. This was like the the black sheep of the family compared to Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Like
Hmm.
it was trying to be as like the Monster Collectathon show of all shows, and it did not succeed. But I liked it a lot, and I guess they're bringing out the games from the PS1 era. That's
There we
crazy.
go. So that's coming on the 9th.
Wow,
and
I may have
then
to check that out.
and then on the 16th we have Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo for Windows, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach for PC, PS4, PS5, The Gunk for PC, Xbox, and Xbox Series X, Record of Lados War, Didit in Wonder Lab. Is that Didit or Didilt?
Deedlit.
Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth for what looks to be everything except for PC. Dynasty Warriors 9, which that's coming out on the 23rd, and I cannot believe they're on 9. I remember when Dynasty Warriors 1 came out. That also is coming out for everything pretty much. And then at the very end of this list, it still has TBA, and I think it's because Nintendo was claiming that Life is Strange as well as Outer Wilds were supposed to come to the Switch by the end of the year. It's already December, so I'm not sure if that's still happening, but the original claim was that both those games would be on the Nintendo Switch by end of year, so it is still to be announced, and it might be pushed into next year, but that is what's coming up. So not too much, I'd say, for the end of the year, but not surprising. A lot of the sales that happen for the holidays typically typically it's consoles that are the biggest seller for the holidays. I don't know how the console game is nowadays. After I got my PS5, I stopped paying attention to all that crap. I assume it's still insanely hard.
It's still bad. It's still out of stock everywhere. PS5, Switch OLED. You can probably, I assume you can get the Xbox One X some places, no problem. I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's still all just like a joke.
It's all just.
I forgot about the Switch OLED. I actually had Carlos texted me today, and he was like, "Hey, what's your opinion on the Switch?" And I was like, "Well, I think the Switch is the best console that ever exists, but I think that it lacks a lot of games, so it's a double-edged sword." And I was like, "I just use mine to play Pokemon, and so that's my opinion of it." And he was like, "Oh, I have a." He's like, "My daughter has a Switch, and I have a Switch OLED for my son." And I'm just like, I don't even know how you got your hands on a Switch OLED, but it made me totally remember. I was like, oh yeah, the Switch OLED's a thing. I just feel like that just released, and I don't know, I just was not paying any attention to it.
Yeah, I for a few days was kind of tempted to try and get one but then I read more into it, and it doesn't really change the output for when it's docked. It's all just like, it's just an OLED screen for when it's handheld. And I'm like, I mean, that's nice, but it's not $350 worth nice if I can't play it on my TV for any difference like that.
Yeah. And I only when I'm playing Pokemon do I find I actually play my Switch in handheld mode, or if I'm
Same.
at my parents' house and I'm just kind of chilling, and again it's still to play Pokemon. I wouldn't say I play many games on the handheld part of it. So the OLED screen, I don't know, I just don't really see an appeal, at least for me. But
yeah, same. At first I was like, oh, that would be kind of nice, but then I was like, I'm just gonna wait till they come out with a better Switch in a few years that actually has 4K resolution on the TV.
It made a cooler stand instead of that little rinky dinky small stand. Now the whole back flap is a stand that's adjustable.
Ooh,
so they did do that cool. Of a change, so that's kind of cool. But it's to me, it's well, it's still the same Joy-Cons. They probably still have Joy-Con drift. I have my freaking Joy-Cons. They have crap behind them or something. I am constantly taking Q-tips and isopropyl alcohol, cleaning the crap out of those things, and they get sticky every 3 weeks. My plus button is always stuck. My X button is always stuck. These Joy-Cons are like 80 or 70 bucks. It is a joke. These things
It is.
suck. They're like the worst.
That's Nintendo for you, man. Now that PlayStation has like announced this, literally, I think it was today too that they announced it too. Nintendo was like, "Oh yeah, our gaming system for 64 games, we're releasing Paper Mario. So still pay $50, $75 a year if you're a family, for just playing Nintendo 64 games, six Nintendo
Oh,
64 games
I
that
forgot
have
they did that
awful input
exclusive
lag.
membership for that, didn't they?
Yeah,
I
and it's
forgot
a
about
joke.
that.
It's a joke. Like there's no they. I don't want to get into it. I can go on a tirade on this because like it's just like it's like they have no sense of the gaming world in terms of like, and they don't really have to. They have their set fans, they have their people buying their games all the time, so they just kind of stay in their own lane. But
Yeah, it's their
you
own
know,
ecosystem.
right, you compare it though to Game Pass and Spartacus or whatever PlayStation is going to call it, and it's a joke. It's like you don't even have a library, like a library of games over 20, for like 64, and you have
Yeah.
like no roadmap to show or share of when new games will arrive, but you're still saying that you need to spend $50 to $75 a year for this service with a promise of great games to come. And it's like that, if you weren't Nintendo, you would be laughed out the door. Like,
I know
absolutely.
this is crazy. I'm like checking out Nintendo's site and it's like, yeah, Nintendo Switch Online, 20 bucks for a year. Oh, that's not bad. 50
Well,
bucks
that's
for the expansion pass. It's like expansion pass. And it's like $80 for expansion family pass. It's like, what the heck, bro?
which literally like $50 for the expansion pass, still hefty. That's for one account. Like if you have multiple profiles on your Switch, you can only have it for one of those accounts, which is so dumb in my opinion. But like anything more than one account, $80. Like it's like wow,
Oh
okay,
my
cool.
gosh. And the Switch is like probably the biggest family console to exist in
Oh,
modern
and they
times
know
right
that.
now.
They know that. They know that. It's just
Bro, it's an RIP. That's crazy to
oh,
me.
I
Oh
know.
yeah, they have
I'm
a
very
full list of what's to come. Oh, they are bringing Ocarina of Time though.
well, that's already there. They're bringing Majora's
Um,
Mask. They did announce like the list of like I think 6 or 7 more 64 games they're bringing soon, but they don't
um,
have like a release date for any of them. They just kind of drop them. And it's like,
it's like
all right,
that's the most
cool.
Nintendo thing to do.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I guarantee. Oh, yep. I was just gonna say. I guarantee you, they're making a Nintendo 64 controller. Sure enough, you just scroll a little bit further
Yep.
down. Nintendo 64 controller. Play enhanced Nintendo 64 games the way they were meant to be played.
I I would have much rather they had just released like kind of like what they did for NES and SNES. Just, you know, like a 64 like remastered cartridge that
Yeah.
has 25 games preloaded on it. Go to
Yeah.
town. Go have
Yeah.
fun. I would have much rather had that.
Wow, people are like, this thing's already sold out. The Nintendo 64 controller is 50 bucks for a wireless Nintendo. The thing that's crazy to me is like, you're not going to use this thing for anything under other than that 64
Oh.
service, you know? And like, it's, I just feel like that's going to like so niche that
Yeah.
like it'll be hype and you'll play it and then you're either going to get bored because of like other titles that you would rather be playing. This is like for the true retro gamer. This is like
Oh
for a
yeah.
Saturn. Like Saturn loves his retro gaming, you know?
Yeah.
It's like for like
He would,
people like
he would love
him
this. He would
that
love this.
have that nostalgia. Like with us, we would probably like it, you know, we'd play it, but then like like something, maybe something like a new Spider-Man or like God of War, like something like would come out on like a PS5, and we'd just be like, okay, and just forget about the Nintendo 64 and just like play that instead.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Well, speaking of playing things, what are we playing, Tyler? How about you go through your list of games that you're currently in the midst of?
Yeah, so right now, I am playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, which is the
Are you
remaster of the original Pokemon Diamond that was out on the Nintendo DS. It was the first DS Pokemon game, now remastered for the Nintendo Switch on a chibi style, which has kind of a mixed interpretation of it. Some people hate it, some people love it. I personally like it a lot. I think it's great. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I've been playing through. I was doing a shiny hunt. I got to 40 hours, and then I decided to make a second profile on my Switch and just play through the game. And then I go back to my other profile and I still hunt it. So we are
Ooh.
on 40 hours with still no shiny starter. And I've gotten 2 badges. And then knowing me, I have already started a second shiny hunt on the other profile. So I am now partaking in 2 shiny hunts because that's just the kind of person I am with Pokemon. Um,
What's the Pokemon that you're trying to shiny hunt in your second?
So I
Pro-
am trying to shiny hunt a Skorupi. It is a poison bug scorpion Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Dude,
trying to get the red one.
yeah. Yeah, the shiny looks dope. And my goal for this playthrough is to have Pokemon that I've never used. And I've always seen like it evolves into Drapion, which is just a bigger scorpion kind of a
Scorpion.
thing. And I've always thought like Drapion looks dope. And I was like, I just want to do it. And I am shiny hunting through the underground, which is a new, well, the underground itself isn't new, but the way they've done it is new. So in the underground, unlike they had in the DS, you now have these little like Pokemon biomes that you can enter, and there's
Oh,
like a whole mini game that's involved where you try to catch these like 40 Diglets that you can see roaming around, and when you catch these 40, you have a like a 4 minute timer where you have double the odds to find a shiny and stuff. And so it's still not like amazing odds, but instead of being 1 in 4,000, it's now 1 in 2,000. So I am just kind of trying it out, see how it goes. It
yeah.
feels a lot better than just resetting the intro screen all the time. So it's more playable.
Yeah.
And then I'm also going through RuneScape like I always have, but Group Man mode is now officially out. Group Man mode is a mode that I've been waiting for probably over a year, where me, Peter, my friends Kyle, Dustin, and Mike are all on a team. We are still what RuneScape people know as Iron Men, so we cannot associate, we cannot trade with other players, we cannot sell things to other players. Everything that we get has to be obtained ourselves. But we now, unlike a traditional Iron Man where you're just solo, we have a team of 5. So some tasks are kind of divvied up amongst our members. So that is my multiplayer I'm playing right now. And then I've been
Nice.
getting back into League of Legends after Peter and I watched Arcane, which was the League of Legends, I guess anime you might be able to call it, but it was a show. It's on it on Netflix. Features two of their, well, a couple characters, but the main focus is Vi and her sister Jinx. After watching that show, it kind of like kick-started my desire to want to play League again. I've always wanted to play League again. It's just a very toxic game to where if it was just Peter and me playing, I just feel like we'd get flamed all the time, and I just don't. I'm just not in that anymore. And but now
Yeah.
we've actually had like a full group of like 4 guys sometimes where we're all just like playing, and it's really fun. So it's been nice, and so that is,
Nice.
I kind of have like a nice mix. I got my PvP game I'm playing, I got my PvE game that I'm playing, and then I got my couch gaming, which is Pokemon. So it's been nice. It's a good little season right now.
Yeah, it's a good like trifecta of your
Yeah,
favorite things. I like that.
yeah.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Well, I also I'm playing 3 games at the moment. You talked me into getting Pokemon Shining Pearl, so I got the opposite of the one you got.
Mm.
Um, I haven't played a Pokemon game in a very, very long time, and I've been honestly really loving it. Ruthie loves it even more. She's definitely playing it more than I do. Um, but that's because I have other games that I try to play in my spare time. But just finished today, actually, the first gym boss.
Nice.
Uh, Picked Piplup, the water Pokemon. And I'm just going through and not, just kind of catching everything I don't have in the Pokedex. So I think I have like, I want to say like 14
Yeah.
Pokemon that I've caught at this point. And that's what I like. I don't really care as much about like shiny Pokemon or anything like that, but I will like grind in an area until I've captured every Pokemon that that area has to offer. I find that pretty fun. And so been doing that. It's been a great game so far. I've been really enjoying it. It's shocked me. It's recaptured my childhood in a way. It's kind of nostalgic. It kind of like when I'm playing it, it reminds me of when I was playing like Red and Blue's Gold and Silver when I was a kid on my Game Boy. Like it's just, and I think part of that is because I can play it handheld on my Switch. Um, it's just really good. But I also got Shining Pearl so I could trade with Tyler for the Pokemon at some point that I can't get in Pearl, so I can complete my Pokedex.
Hey.
So thank you in advance. We can help each other out there. But and then the other games I'm playing are on my PS5. I'm playing Guardians of the Galaxy. Uh, uh, and that game is absolutely amazing. It's really fun. Looks great with ray tracing. Honestly, the dialogue is on point. Like it feels like a James Gunn written screenplay. Like it's just you just literally play as a family of misfits that argue and bicker and yell at each other, uh, just minute after minute, and it's so good. Like they honestly capture the characters in such a true way. It's not canon to the MCU, but it is canon to the characters themselves. You have Gamora, you have Drax. It's funny because in the game, Drax is actually the one who killed Thanos. So when you run into people in the game and they see Drax, he's honestly the most impressive of the team because people are like, oh, he's the one that killed Thanos, the Mad Titan. Like, whoa, like that's crazy. And then Drax being Drax is just completely ambiguous to like any praise. He's just like, yeah, that's what I did. It's not that big of a deal. And then Rocket won't shut up. He's just like just super annoying, but in the best way. I love him so much. Um, and Groot is just amazing. And then you got Peter Quill, who's the player you actually play as. And when you really the gameplay style is very when you're walking around and traveling around, it's very like Uncharted-esque. And then the actual fighting, I don't even really know what to compare it to, honestly. It's almost like a rogue shooter for like the moments that you're in battle, where you're just kind of, locking on enemies, shooting them with these little pistols, and commanding your team on how to like help and partake and take out the enemies. Like they all have their own like little abilities that help in different ways, and it's really fun. You really get the teamwork of it. Honestly, it's really good. It's gotten really good reviews. This is honestly what I feel like the Avengers game should have been,
Mm.
instead of what it is. And hopefully they'll learn from that and maybe just remake Avengers into something like this. And I wouldn't mind if I just had to play as Captain America for the whole game. I'm fine with that. Or maybe just give us a different character to play per chapter, but just do something.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the last game I've been playing is my new JRPG that I've really been loving is Tales of Arise. This is the newest entry in the Tales series, and honestly, probably their most popular one, which is really exciting. They've kind of been on the downstream for the last, honestly, it feels like 5 to 7 years now. Their games have not been as good. You've probably heard of some of them, like Tales of Abyss, Tales of Vesperia are their most popular, along with Tales of Symphonia. But then, the last few years we've had Tales of Zestiria, Berseria, games that sound crazy when you say them out loud. And they just have been kind of subpar. They've never been able to grab me. And then Tales of Arise came out, and I've heard nothing but rave reviews about it. I bought it finally. I gave in during the Black Friday sale, and I've loved it. They've simplified so many things in the battle system and made it a little more simplistic in the ways that JRPGs should be, in my opinion, and it just became the perfect Tales game to me. I've been loving it so much. I'm not too far into it, but I know this is a game I'm probably going to be sinking probably a lot of my next year into because it's a pretty long game. But it's been a lot of fun, and that's what I'm playing.
Nice. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's good to hear about the Guardians game for sure. And it had a great
Oh,
sale if anybody was able to pick it up during Black Friday, which kind of surprised to see that it was already a pretty solid sale with it just being a recent release. And it wasn't like it was badly perceived. It seemed like it had pretty good
no.
reviews all around.
Yeah.
So,
It has a killer soundtrack. Like this is not a game that you can stream easily.
no.
The last thing I did want to mention, I know we're running long, but I just wanted to tell you this part, Tyler, because it kind of gave me chills, and I was like, God, this game is freaking amazing. Um, I had to fight this boss, this like giant kraken-like being, very early in the game, and honestly, it was kicking my butt because I didn't really know how to beat it, like utilizing my team. And every once in a while during battle, if you're having a hard time, you're starting to get close to dying, you can do a huddle with your team, and it kind of like breaks the gameplay for a moment, where you can just kind of get everyone like in a huddle, and you like pump them up as the team leader. And it's really funny, and I haven't had to do it that many times yet in the game, so I kind of forgot how it worked. But you basically pump up the team, and you're just like, we got this, guys. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's go kick some butt. And everybody's like, yeah, Peter Quill, yeah. And Peter Quill brings out his Walkman, turns it on, and all of a sudden I'm back in the battle, and I just hear,
Oh
and
my
the final
gosh.
countdown starts playing, and I'm just shooting at this giant Kraken creature, rockets throwing bombs, and I'm blasting this thing to heck, listening to it's the final countdown. I'm like, this game's incredible, man. Like, I was just
Oh man, that is great.
I love this game so much. It's
That's
just so
exciting.
freaking good. Yeah.
That is super exciting.
Oh, I just had to share that because it was a magical moment. It was
Yeah,
just
no,
like,
for
oh,
sure.
this is so good.
No, I mean that's good to hear that it's cool to hear that the soundtrack is dope. It's unfortunate for content creators because they get, copyright claimed like so
Right.
easily.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
pretty dope
Like,
that they get to um I don't know, like have such a good I feel like it's hard to find like you have your people who make your own scores, but then it's always hard to find one where they, when they don't, they just like get music that's already been out there. Sometimes it's like kind of
yeah.
crappy, so it's fun to see that it's a fun and like engaging one. So
Oh yeah. I don't know how they got the rights to some of these songs. It was probably really expensive, but like a lot of these songs were just incredible 80s music. And I'm just like, how did you get the rights to all these songs?
oh, I bet
They
it.
got like
I bet
30
it costs a
songs.
good penny, right? Because isn't that how
Oh
that
yeah.
works? Like you have to pay for it and
Yeah.
stuff.
Royalties, but they got like 30 tracks, like killer tracks, like great songs that I will always jam to. And it's just like, this is great. I love that he just has this Walkman of all these songs that I can play at any time. And it's just, oh, it's great.
Um, so one thing that we love to do is talk about our entertainment of the week as we kind of start wrapping things up on the podcast. And just as a reminder, for those who have listened, and if you're new to the podcast, the entertainment of the week encompasses anything, whether it be gaming, whether it be a anime to watch, a movie to watch, a book to read.
Board game,
Yeah,
anything.
just like it says, it's just any type of entertainment that we find is enjoyable. We just like to give it some praise. And so this week we have two shows. It looks like. So Max,
Yep.
if you want to kind of kick it off and talk about the entertainment of the week for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my entertainment of the week is a show on Amazon Prime. It's currently in its run, so not all the episodes are available yet, but you can watch the first 5 of 8 right now. And it's called The Wheel of Time. And I'm sure during our first 13 episodes back over the last year, I've chosen the Wheel of Time, the book series, as probably my entertainment of the week before, but this is something that I was very excited about, and it did not disappoint. Um, Amazon got the rights to recreate Robert Jordan's amazing best-selling book series. This is honestly one of the greatest like high fantasy book series of all time, right up there with like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, like it's top tier. And Amazon has gotten those rights to create this new show. It's only 8 episodes for the first season, but so far it's been really great. The pacing, it can be a little off. I mean, it's not the greatest set. Like it's a season one. It's learning its way. But I still find it to be very intriguing. The character work, the acting is very well done. You can tell they put a lot of care into it, which was something I was really worried about. This is a 14 book saga, and so they're having to jump really quick into a lot of things because these are long books. They're hefty, but they're handling it pretty well. And that was my main concern, and they've kind of levied that concern. Um, and it's just this great world. Honestly, it's probably the best thing I can compare to Game of Thrones in a really long time, and far less racy. Definitely a lot more family friendly. It's still bloody. It's still, it can get kind of dark. It's more Lord of the Rings though than anything else. And it is a show where this is a world of fantasy where magic can only be used by women. Magic or the one power, as it is told in the Wheel of Time, if men are found with it, they have to be stilled, which means that these women called Aes Sedai, which are like the protectors of the world, they hunt down and find these men and basically still them. They take away their magic, their one power. And the reason they do that is because men cannot handle it. They start to be driven mad by it, and so they become criminals or mass murderers or dangerous to themselves. And so it's kind of cool to see in the fantasy world where females are the most powerful. This is a very much a matriarchal show. And but you have this character who I won't name, who is called the Dragon Reborn. The reason this show is called the Wheel of Time is because history, the history of time and lore of everything is a wheel. It kind of just repeats, and so whenever someone dies in the show, it's it's almost like Buddhist in a way, and I apologize if I'm choosing the wrong religion, but it's where someone dies and you're like, well, I'll meet them again, like later in the wheel, like we will meet again in time. And there's a character called the Dragon, who is the one male person who can handle the one power without becoming mad, or at least living the longest without becoming mad, and will always change the world in some way. And the Aes Sedai, the women that hold the one power in this world, that are the protectors, try to seek out this person and mold him to be what they want him to be so that he changes the world in the way they want it changed. And
Interesting.
so, yeah, and so the dragon is reborn at the beginning of the show. And every show or every book always says that, there's always a beginning and an end, but it always, like the wheel wills as it will in time. But this is the beginning of the end of the wheel. And so like basically it's saying like this dragon will break the wheel of time. Like it will
Interesting.
start a new course in history that will break the cycle.
Hmm.
And it's just and if any of you have read all the books, it's just a beautiful story. It's so finely crafted in storytelling, and it's just really great. You have these three main characters who are all men, and one of them is the dragon. I won't say who it is, but just how they change the world and how the world bends to them, because of the prophecies and the magic that they hold. And so if anyone out there loves fantasy, you got to check the show out. It is up there with some of the greatest stories of all time. So,
Yeah, I've been seeing that pop up like crazy recently.
yeah, dude. Like Tyler, you definitely, I think you would really like the show.
Yeah.
It's really really good. But yeah,
Yeah, I would be curious to see, especially with it being an Amazon show. I feel like it's always
Mhm.
nice when Amazon kind of shows out with their own stuff. So it's nice.
And they've been like grabbing a lot of the fantasy series. Like they got the rights to Lord of the Rings, and now they have this. It's like they're kind of holding the monopoly of like fantasy shows
Yeah. Yeah.
outside of like The Witcher and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, mine is also a show. Instead of being fantasy, we are now in the sci-fi realm. And that show is Lost in Space. Now, you might be
Mm.
familiar of Lost in Space because it actually is a show from like, gosh, I think like the 60s or something like that. There is the
Yeah,
original.
Danger, Will Robbins. I don't know.
Yeah, so they've,
It's some kind of line.
and I think there's another one that was in the 90s too, if I'm not mistaken. But
Wow.
this Lost in Space in particular is the 2018 version. I wouldn't say reboot per se. I think it's just kind of like the
Its
next
own thing.
installment of it, its own thing, and it is on Netflix. So Lost in Space, I have started it, but Julie wanted to join me in on the adventure, so I had to stop and I started watching a different show. But I am a big Lost in Space fan. I used to watch the old stuff with my dad a lot, and I have not watched the new one like chronologically. I remember last Christmas or maybe the Christmas before was when my dad was watching it. So I've seen some episodes kind of like scattered, I'd say. And
Okay.
it is very engaging.
Nice.
The look and overall just like atmosphere of it is incredible. It's like really, really cool. And so the idea of it, and I don't know much because I haven't been able to watch too much of the story, but you have a family who is inside of a spaceship, is what you know, and then they
Yep.
crash land on a new planet and come to find out that it's not necessarily just them. They don't think, at least. There are other pods, I would say, that are crash landing across the planet. Is anyone alive? You're not sure. And the whole idea is I think they have been training for this for a while now. There was definitely some complications on Earth that have been happening, and more of those complications will more than likely be released the further down you go into the show. And Earth has been facing some type of catastrophe where people have been training to go to space and recolonize somewhere else where they feel has a similar atmosphere of Earth. And they do find a planet. The planet they do crash land on. They are able to take off their space helmets, and they are able to like breathe natural air. But
Okay.
it is a very I would say high intense show. I mean, from the start, it's like they're crash landing, they're stuck, and like it just keeps on steamrolling, like issue after issue that arises. And there's definitely some family problems that are prevalent as well. It seems like there are some complications amongst one of the children and one of the parents, and then
Mm.
also just trying to figure out what to do because they technically did crash land versus they were supposed to just land gracefully. Now they're dealing with just stuff around like their ships kind of like going under, and they're not able to obtain certain things. They are not in the conditions in which they were hoping for. And so the show just kind of revolves around this family trying to, I guess, just recolonize on this new planet. And if
Yeah.
you're into, sci-fi stuff, it's your classic sci-fi. You got space travel, you got more than likely there's probably going to be some weird creatures that'll exist on this planet or something like that, and there'll probably be politics. There's always politics in sci-fi. There'll probably be some type of colonization politics that'll begin, and but it is really cool. The original Lost in Space from the 60s was fun. It was like really fun watching, especially seeing what people back then thought it was going to be like in the future, and like the technology that they thought was going to exist and everything. And then seeing just, from a CGI perspective, how much more intense they're able to go from 1960 to now 2018, and how they can make things seem so real, and like you're really trapped on this planet with with this family, and it really feels like they are on a new planet trying to survive. And it's just really cool, but it hits pretty hard. So it's like, you are going to be kind of like thrown into battle right away. They face issue after issue. It just seems like always. It just doesn't seem like there's any chill time. So,
Right. It's
but
always
it's
go, go, go.
yeah, exactly. But it is on Netflix. I believe it's Netflix original. I think Netflix is the only place that you can watch the Lost in Space 2018 edition.
Cool.
But yeah, so that is my entertainment of the week.
Go check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, so not too bad. Hour
No.
45 for our first podcast back in 8 months.
We just got back in the groove, man.
I know, that's right.
Got easy.
Just hanging out. Now, I don't know. Max has a lot of vacation time planned pretty much from now until Christmas. And then I have vacation time planned Christmas and New Year's. So more than likely, we won't be able to kind of get back into things until the new year. I would assume, just with vacationing and holidays are fun. But like Max was saying at the beginning of the podcast, he now has been in a better physical location to be able to kind of get the podcast. He's got his internet situation a lot more handled than it unfortunately was before, but it's great now. Yeah. Got the microphone set up and everything, and so we should be able to kickstart these things again. We haven't talked about cadences on anything, but we do know we will be back in January, and then from there, we will just see how it goes.
Right. That's all we do.
That's right. But if you are curious and want to have any updates, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Calling All Nerds. You can follow us on Twitter, which is also Calling All Nerds. And if you are interested in the podcast on just a listening perspective, you can find us on all the podcast sites, such as Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, and Simplecast Podcast. But other than that, Max, do you have anything else you want to share before we kind of say adieu?
I just want to say I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just enjoy time with your family and friends. Don't work too hard. It's been a crazy year, so y'all deserve just as much rest. So we are excited to see you guys in the new year, and thanks for joining us on this awesome return for the Christmas special.
Definitely. All right. We shall see you all later. Peace.
Bye.